Well, welcome back into the studio. I have received my pack from Nicole and Nicole Watson, and she has the channel Nicole Watson Art, and she, along with Laura Dame and Aaron DeCoste, have done the Mixed Media Menagerie. Oh my gosh, can I just say I'm so excited to open this. I have been holding on to this for a while now, and because they changed the timing out of when they're doing the Mixed Media Menagerie, and so I am so excited. Plus I got the Artistro paint pens. Now these are extra fine tip markers, and I'm so excited to jump into these because I have not seen an extra fine tip. So we will, I'll also talk to you about how I like these and get a chance to look at those. So I got this card from Nicole, and she says that we're using cool colors, a texture stamp. So I've got one of the new Donna Downey Art Foamies. Actually, I think she's actually coming out with a new set now. But anyways, elegant script for my texture stamp, a toothbrush, the paint pens, and the theme is rain. So I've got out here a whole slew of cool colored things to work with. But I'm so excited to go through this pack. So this is the decoupage pack, the ephemera pack that they sent me. Well, actually Nicole sent me, because I think it was her turn. Look at this tie that she has on here. This is so stinking cute. I love all the colors. And you know what? Purples are cool colors. I didn't pull out any purples. Oh my, I think I'm gonna have to do that too. And so there's a little pack with some beads and sequins, and a little piece of tissue paper with a quote on it. Ooh, this is interesting paper. Oops, gotta save that. Okay. This is cool paper. Must be some, I don't know what's on there, but it looks pretty neat. Doilies. Oh my. Ooh, paint chips. Wow. These are fun to work with. I've done that before. I've never seen any of these this big though. Ooh, another little envelope with some, fibers in it. Oh, ribbons. Lace type ribbons. Ooh, look at this. Ledger paper. Ooh, texture. Tags. Huh, look at those. Those are kind of neat. Ooh, vellum. Ooh, confetti vellum. Oh, look at some of these. Oh, now that's fun. Oh, these must be off papers. Oh, jelly plate print. Ooh, that's gonna be fun. Ooh, this is cool. Ooh, look at these. These are even bigger than what I usually find. Okay, so we've got some, I think these are rub-ons. 7 gypsies. Letters. Oh my goodness. Ooh. Look at that. That is gorgeous. Wow, that ink. 2 pages. Oh my. Oh, look. Rain is our theme. That is going to be really cool. On deli paper. Oh my. Oh my. Oop, that's got to be with some of her aerosol art spray paint. And that must be like how she presses off. So if you haven't seen any Nicole's videos, you need to get, actually, if you haven't seen any of Erin, Laura's, or Nicole's videos, then you need to get over to their channels. I'll link everything below, as well as in the description box, as well as put whatever I end up using listed down there in the description box. So let's get started. I can't wait to play with all these goodies. So I'm gonna get started, and the first thing I'm working on is getting some paper adhered to this burlap. I'm doing that because I don't want any glue that I might adhere to the burlap to seep through. So I'm sandwiching it, or not sandwiching it, but I'm adhering it to this paper, and I'm going to remove it from the book, and I'm going to use it later on for something else on my spread. Not quite sure yet what at this point, but I know that I'm going to use it. So I'm getting that all trimmed down, and then I'm going to set it to the side while I attend to the leftovers in the book. Now, my thought was, I think I'm using something water soluble in the book, so I wanted to be able to use that watercolor paper to its fullest. So I decided to go ahead and tape back that the center spine, because I didn't want any bleed through, and I also decided that I was going to cover that with some absorbent ground so that it's more watercolor like it'll at least absorb the colors somewhat similar to watercolor paper. So I decided to put that down, and that's a golden product. So I get that laid down and dried off. Alright, so I'm pulling back in that piece of burlap, and I am going to get it kind of wet because I'm going to put some gesso on it. And when you have something really porous like this, gesso is pretty thick, so I want it to pretty cover this pretty well. So I did get some water down on it first and get that covered with some gesso, and then I'm going to set it aside to dry more thoroughly. So now I'm prepping my surface to do some additional work. I know that I'm going to be spraying something in a little bit, so I did get that paper all spread out. But right now I'm actually using a masking fluid on a gel plate with a brayer onto this bubble wrap, and it didn't work out as well as I had hoped it had. At least that first print did, but I will come back in and handle that another way. And as you can see, although you can tell the difference between the absorbent ground and the watercolor paper, it does absorb that color. It doesn't act totally like a gesso would. And now I'm just rubbing off the masking fluid, and you can really see the bubble wrap on the left hand side, but on the right hand side, not so much. That was kind of disappointing. So I used some of the excess gesso that is on the burlap, and I'm just pushing it down. It had a really nice, neat looking texture to it coming through. So I added that, and then I'm going to try and get that dried the rest of the way. This is, and I don't know who manufactured this, but this is a cloud-like stencil. And I am going to run some gloss spray through that. At least I think I am. I don't know about you, but I get really frustrated with these gloss sprays and those spritz bottles. So I have converted mine over to this dripper bottle, and I then could pour it back into the bottle and test the sprayer, and here it starts to get to work better. But and I use it through the drip, and then I put the little silver ball through into the bottle where I store it, which is that dripper bottle. Anyways, so I'm getting that just saturated with color, and you'll see I come back in with a darker color. And that gives me definitely some more color to it. Gonna get that dried off and set it to the side while I attend to this page. So one of my requirements is to use a toothbrush. So this is fun. I just used some of the acrylic ink, watered it down a bit, and used a toothbrush in it. Another requirement was to use a texture stamp. So I'm getting some Payne's Gray onto my brayer and coming in with that Art Foamies textural stamp in Elegant Script. I just love that Art Foamy stamp. And now I have decided to come in with some of those white lettered rub-ons, and just kind of getting a feel for putting this assemblage together of the ephemera. Now, to me, this kind of felt like almost like I was building a building. So in my mind, this is kind of like inner city, almost like we're looking at the high tower of a building. And so that's kind of what I'm creating, is the side of that building using this ephemera. I don't know, it's remember, it's an abstract vision, but it's kind of where I was going as I was putting this together. And I probably should have gone with some of the heavy body medium on here, because the gel medium was a little thin for this heavyweight paint chips. But I had so much fun just putting this little feature together. And I don't usually have things in ones, but this was kind of like it was an odd number, and it was still this singular event that was happening here. So you'll see how I handle moving your eye across the page as I go, but this was so much fun to work with these elements that Nicole had given me to use. So it was just a lot of fun. And you'll see I'll start to build up where I have that those rub-ons. I decided, oh, that's not enough, and I just kept adding to it until I got the structure that I really wanted. So I so totally fell in love with this paper here. I think that this must be a scrap from one of Nicole's, she does these paintings in watercolor, and I think this must be a leftover from that. It feels like watercolor paper, but it's that lovely blue color, and it just was so, it had like pastels on it or something, but I don't know, they didn't wash off, so I'm not quite sure what was on the background, but it had the most unique patterning on it. It was a lot of fun to work with. So I got that down, but that was really heavier, so I did finally succumb to some heavy body gel. And then I came in and, okay, so my thinking here was, oh, I want to catch some of this texture. And then that led me into seeing how it worked over that watercolor paper. And that's just gesso. I'm using my fingers in, kind of doing a little bit of dry brushing, not so dry, but you know, just catching. And then all of a sudden it felt to me like it was rain hitting the top of maybe a building or the cement and kind of splashing up as you get that real downpour coming. And that was my thinking as I pulled that across the bottom. So now I'm going to come in with these fine, extra fine paint pens, and these were awesome. Make sure that when you're pushing it to get the ink out that you push on a hard surface, because they're very sharp. But because that tip is very, as you can see here, it's very sharp. And I actually went over some semi-moist areas, and it didn't falter on me. I was really impressed with these. So I went in with a white and I went in with a silver, and that silver is definitely silver. You can see how that's catching the light right there. I really liked how that was. So part of what I did was I did some of my scratchy writing in a vertical patterning in hopes of bringing your eye down. And then here I am coming in with some of that leftover gesso on the bubble wrap, trying to bring that pattern back over onto the right hand side. It really did not want to cooperate with me. And as you know, I used a dioxide spray on the background, so I was really carefully, when I was applying things to the surface, I very carefully made sure I was putting my liquid adhesive on the backs of the papers I was adhering rather than on the surface of the background. But I was surprised because that watercolor paper really absorbed a lot of that color, and I didn't get very much movement at all. So here and there you will see that I have been applying the gel medium to the surface, covering those rub-ons, and now covering this deli paper with these beautiful raindrops on them. coming back in with that burlap and getting my clouds cut out. I thought I was going to use multiple here, but I ended up, you'll see how I end up handling that, because really I was really focused on how I'm moving the eye across the page. So now I have your eye coming from the top to the bottom, but I need a way to bring you from the left to the right. And I end up doing that primarily with this cloud. So here's my dark, rainy cloud that's not so dark. So I am going to come in here, and I think I first come in with some Payne's Gray. That is in a dropper bottle with some airbrush medium. And I think I ended up going back in with that dioxide. Yeah. And just darkening up the edges a lot to try and get that stormy cloud feel. So now I'm going to come in with some more of that glossy spray in a drip bottle, and now I'm coming in with a darker color. This is Night, and I really want to get that shadowing, the dramatic shadowing done underneath that cloud in hopes of making it really feel like a real thunderstorm happening. So, and I'm just using my finger to spread that around, but let me tell you, getting that glossy spray on your fingers, it took me almost 3 days, well 2 days to get it off of me. It was, it's quite powerful stuff. So Nicole had given me a little piece of tissue paper with a quote on it about rain, and I really liked it, but I needed something that was much more see-through. I wanted to be able to see the confetti-like stuff that was happening in the background. And so I put it onto this. I have a whole bunch of this plastic. It's stencil plastic. It's kind of translucent but not completely see-through. It's well, you see it here. And so I am just cutting it down to fit. I actually went to my typewriter and typed directly onto it with my old-fashioned typewriter. And I did seal the letters because I wasn't sure if it would move around with that plastic or not. So I did seal that. And now I'm getting it put down at the bottom. So now I'm bringing your eye from the left side top down to the bottom of the page and across, and then back up again. And so I feel like I accomplished that. And then I'm just coming in and fine-tuning my thunderstorm. I did adhere that quote with some E6000. Alright, so this little egg, my husband walked in while I was filming this and brought me this egg he found outside. We think it's a dove egg. It's slightly cracked. We think they abandoned it because of that. But it was actually on our back porch sitting in some old Christmas lights that we have been meaning to dispose of. And it was just so random. So I had to share it with you.